And I'll call this meeting to order with the cable board on October 21st, 2015. And I think the only thing that we have on the agenda is talking about the renewal of the franchise fee and how we're going to go about getting this proposal set up so that we can meet with Bob Vos and get him involved so that we can then present this to Charter. And, so, the last franchise fee that we were involved with, the Charter involved 5% franchise fee, which is on their gross revenues for television and television access and so on. Didn't include their telephone or internet revenues. They're exempt.
Excuse me, Mr. President, she can't hear you. She has a hearing problem, so can you speak up
a little?
or can she come a little more forward?
Sure,
Which?
this way.
Oh, right. Thank you.
And then also, we were receiving a PEG fee of 50 cents per subscriber per month, which involved using that money basically as equipment upgrades and purchasing new equipment and so forth. And so you can see what we want to do and what we're going to talk about, both what Channel 180 needs for equipment and also what Channel 181 needs so that we can present this information to Charter so that we can get everything fully functional on both of those channels, and that they're up to the latest equipment and the latest thing that is on the market with Charter. So let's start with Channel 180. So Chris, what have you got on?
The big thing we need is to get both lines separate, so we need separate fiber coming from us and away from the school, and then all the equipment to be high definition, or at least HD as far as they can get us with Charter, and that'd be replacing their stuff that they have in there now, which is all.
Replacing the computer?
Replacing the Charter equipment that is in there, the analog equipment that's in there.
So Charter needs to upgrade their analog equipment to digital equipment.
Yep, and then that'll also, and then if they can drop a fiber for us too, that'd be great.
Okay, now there is a fiber here. Is there only one fiber line?
I've never looked at the trade chain, but I would doubt that there's only one fiber line that runs from here out. Charter brings multiple fibers into our building. I've got to believe that they ran the same number of fibers all the way around town. It's just how many they've terminated.
Yeah, they wouldn't have one fiber running.
No.
I only have one module for it that we're coming out of.
So you would need another module to hook up to another.
Yeah, basically we'd ask them to be separate. Because right now they have us coming in, and if one signal's too strong or the other signal's too strong, he goes off air or I go off air. Or we both go off air.
Okay. Are you taking notes?
I can.
Would you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to be involved in all these talks with Charter. So if you would do that, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
I'm a poor note taker.
And then we just need to upgrade our tightrope system.
We wanted to have this done before, but Dan graciously just said he'd wait for you to be on board. Just so you're aware, next time you talk to Dan.
Mm-hmm. I'll bring that up to him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have a number, Chris, for the hardware? What?
I only have a number for the tightrope. Because the stuff that's in there, in the module that they have over at their place, was provided by Charter. to get them to signal there. So they would have to switch out whatever they have here for the HD stuff.
And is that expensive?
I don't know, cause it's their equipment, so I guess if they want our channel to come there, they would just supply it anyways.
What does it take to get a charter technician in here to evaluate what's gonna be involved in this?
I don't know, showing up there. I mean, you can't get a hold of them.
I know.
So I've called them and said that I was a PEG access feed operator or a PEG access operator, and they're like,
They don't even know what that,
what? You know, so it's tough to get a hold of them. I mean, that's the other thing that we talked about is trying to get a number that we can always call and have on hand for us to call and get a person that we know is gonna be there.
Yeah, you see charter trucks all over the city.
maybe you have to catch one of them and hold the guy hostage until.
Yeah, and that's,
Well, the trucks you see around town are typically independent contractors,
Yeah.
so they can't really answer a lot of charter questions, strangely enough.
You have charter residential and you have charter business, and most of those trucks are charter residential. And occasionally a business, but even the business people don't understand what we're talking about.
Right, and those people,
Who
I've
does?
tried to talk to them about just charter issues before trying to talk to the guy who comes to your house and say, look, I'm an independent contractor, I can't speak for charter and I can't answer your questions.
Well, even if you got a company guy in a company truck, you're not gonna be able to just grab him and say,
Right.
come check this out. He's gonna say, call the office.
So where
Yep.
would we need to call for like PEG issues? I assume that it's not the charter store down in St. Cloud.
I've tried to get a hold of them, and I'm guessing you just have to raise enough stink till they send you in the right direction.
You know, typically when we've had problems, our best response has been to work through their government services. Leanne Herrera and Brenda Osborne. Leanne is the,
She's in Owatonna?
no, they're in
Rochester?
Rochester, maybe? No.
Oh, Rod?
Southern Metro somewhere, Apple Valley. But then, you know, they just say, well, we'll try to see who we can get a hold of to help you,
Leanne is Director of Government
yeah. there you
Affairs,
go.
and I have her number right here on email.
And so we've called them and said, look, we need help with this. And they've always encouraged us to call Charter Business, and then they say, we have called Charter Business. They cannot help us, so we need you to initiate. And that's not the way it's supposed to work, because those folks aren't tech support, they're the people that do these contracts around the state for the various charters.
Well, yeah, I think Leanne Herrera is the one who sent the most recent contract back in July.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's completely out of their realm.
Right.
They don't know who to call either, but at least you stick it back to them and say, and try to point out to them where the problem is, that we do not have any one person that we call.
Do you think that there's someone in charter that has, quote, the plan of what was done here over the eons?
Sure.
Or do you think that's just disappeared like many other things, and somebody would come in here fresh and green and have to track down everything to figure it out? I don't think
No.
anybody has anything going on, do you?
I think that there's a gentleman named Jim Gray that works for Charter.
Okay.
And we don't have access to him. We don't have his phone number. That's not something he can give out to
Well,
us.
I think for present purposes, I mean, we're supposed to put together a list to send to the lawyer. So one of the things on the list should be contact information for technical support specific to PEG channel operation. and maintenance. So that's something we could ask.
My other thought is we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. This lawyer represents how many cities?
Oh, yeah.
They
I
got,
did talk to him once, and he's sharp as a
yeah,
tack. I mean, he doesn't have to research the laws. He-
No, you know.
but it's like he should be doing this, negotiate once and go times 6 or whatever it is. And,
Well, each city is different.
well, different but the same.
Yeah, but he's negotiated different things in different cities in different ways. But, yeah, you're right, he knows what he has done for each one, and he's an expert in the business, and very good.
So I think we want, we'll want to give him some direction, but then again, we can take direction from him as well. That he's got a lot more experience than any of us with negotiating these things. He did send a memo to the city back in August of 2012, and when I had emailed him back in July or so asking if we should start talking about renewals, he just sent this out and said, this is what I sent in 2012, and nobody from the city's really gotten back to me. But it was essentially a list of proposals and things that could be included. It's several pages long.
That's this one here.
That's that one right there. Yep. So that's kind of what he had sent out, suggesting that we look at that. But with respect to the equipment, at this point, I don't know that we need to decide what we need for equipment. We just need to decide that we want some money for equipment. And once we figure out how much we've gotten, assuming that they're willing to include equipment money in the next agreement, then.
And upgrade their equipment to present status.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a valid, besides money for equipment,
Right.
upgrade
Yeah.
their equipment as
Yeah.
well, that we don't even know what the price tag is for.
And I don't know if that's a rental that they do. That's what a lot of companies have done, is they set their equipment in there and then they rent it, because we're using it. So they rent theirs and just take it off the top right away.
So are you talking about the computer in here? Or
No, I'm talking about the broadcasting analog system that sends our signal out to Charter, and then that scrambles it. It's not the computer system at all right now.
Mark knows kind of the way things go. It goes from here over to Charter's tower, over there by the fairgrounds.
Mhm.
Then it goes to St. Cloud, and then it comes back on their fiber to be distributed to the city customers.
Okay.
So it's kind of a roundabout way of getting stuff to the customers in
It
the
is.
fall.
It is.
So,
I know we brought up the idea of updating that equipment back when they were gonna go all digital and move our channels. We tried to throw that in. I think Dan proposed it when talking with Charter. Said, well, we want all digital all the way through your system. We don't want to be using analog and sending that up. And their response was, well, we'll convert it for you on our end. So you don't need anything. Now that seems a little outdated, but that will probably be their response again. That's fine, they can respond that way. But we'll say, we need this stuff all replaced with digital. Their response will be, no you don't, we'll make it digital once it gets to us. That's what they said.
well, what happens is they take it off their line that's going from the alley to the house. It's scrambled, goes into a box,
Mhm.
and then it descrambles it
Right,
and puts it in a digital signal
right.
to the television set.
Well, I think it's going out the lines in a digital format from there.
Can you send digital over
Fiber
aluminum
or over the coax?
coax? Okay, so then,
It's all digital.
So-
You're sending out.
so then why does a person in their house have to have this black box?
That's what makes it high definition. You're running
Because
HD.
the signal, I think, comes in scrambled. You couldn't plug it into your set and get anything out of it.
Right.
Well, that's what I mean.
Your
Why is it
tuner
coming
will
in
not
That's because
identify what's coming in.
what I was told is the digital signal takes up, for lack of a better term, bandwidth or capacity on the wire. They can send so much more digitally than they can analog.
Right.
Well, I suppose it'd be easy for somebody to steal it off their system, then they go out and hook it up.
Analog is easy to steal. Digital not so easy.
But with the digital coming into your house, I mean, I think that you have a box on your TV because they want to protect what they've got in those cables. They want to make sure you're paying for it,
Yeah.
not just hooking
Yeah,
up.
because their conversion rendered about 4 TV sets in my house absolutely useless
Yeah, unless you put boxes on each one of them,
on each one, which, you know, you get to
which is $7 more a
$8
month or
or
something
whatever
on
it
each.
was, yeah.
We're sending an analog feed to them to become digital, same with them, but their equipment is upgraded, so they're actually sending digital and dumbing it down from analog, which is getting sent back out and getting presented back as a digital again. But it's causing problems with their quality as well as our quality.
you're having to send yours digitally over to here, and then it gets converted to analog, goes to Charter. No?
It goes
Actually-
analog to here.
Oh,
We have to do the conversion at our place.
okay.
Because we have fiber, it gets transmitted across fiber optics from the high school to here. Before it gets onto the fiber, we dumb it down to analog to send it over to here so that it can get routed back out.
So you guys have a bottleneck in that you could go all digital right from the school building, but because you have to come through here where it's analog, you have to dumb it down first.
They'd still be going analog because of the equipment that Charter has provided.
Yep.
Okay.
There is a transmitter that Charter has where it takes your broadcast signal and brings it in. It then it puts it in a form that it can go across that fiber with. And once that happens, it's now analog again.
Okay.
And that's the piece of equipment that both Chris and I are talking about that we would love to have them replace because that would mean digital. Our bottleneck right now is not our equipment. Our bottleneck is one piece of Charter equipment that can make it be completely digital.
What's that piece of equipment called?
It's a
It's just,
modulator of
yeah,
some
it's just a
sort.
modulator that gets, it's,
So we want a digital modulator to replace the analog modulator.
Right this big, by this big, and it goes in a rack.
Oh, you're kidding, that's it?
Yeah.
How much does one of those cost?
I can't imagine it costs them a great deal of money.
digital will cost a little bit more.
But it would be their equipment, it'd be all programmed to their scrambled signals and whatnot, so.
So are we talking, it's 2,500 or 25,000?
Probably
Depends on what,
2,500.
yeah,
Oh.
it depends on what kind of equipment they get us.
Well,
But the thing,
But like I said, it's probably not gonna cost that because they'll probably rent it to us, if it's
Problem.
theirs.
yeah, the problem is, Scott, if we were to go out and even buy that on our own, Charter at their head end in St. Cloud is expecting that signal to come to them in an analog format. If we drive that to them in a digital format,
so
we'll have nothing.
So we need them to replace that equipment and make the system compatible with using it. So that's what we need.
Because those modulators are also telling you what channel to be on. So if we were to flip this modulator here to channel 12, then the school would be coming out, then channel 180 would actually be channel 181. That's also what it's doing, is keeping our channels.
Okay.
Separate.
So is that the piece of equipment that would separate those channels? The modulator?
That is the piece of equipment separating us, but those two pieces of equipment are coming into the same.
Fiber optic.
Just so they gotta just update their equipment. So then separate and having two separate signals coming out of
The ideal scenario would be for them to provide a continuous fiber access from Little Falls High School to their head end equipment located in St. Cloud. That would be the ideal.
All digital.
Whether it goes straight there or through here, whatever, as long as it
Whether it
stays
goes
digital.
straight there or through here, it doesn't matter, but so long as once it leaves the high school on Charter Fiber, it goes to St. Cloud on Charter Fiber without passing through other equipment. That would be the ideal.
And then do we need the same setup here?
Yep.
So,
Well, what will happen is, if there is, which there probably is, like you were saying, there's probably fiber here that just have to add in that extra, extension onto a fiber so that they can send it. So it's two separate fibers will come in. Or I think what they'll do is send it in here because we have the actual laser sender deal, the transmitter.
so is this, I remember when we signed all these contracts, there was some question as to whether the school's signal would come through River Arts or not. I mean, would it be better, I assume it would be better from your end if it didn't have to come in here at all? Or does it matter?
Well, that'd be lovely, but it'd be great if it didn't, but the reality of it is they're not going to pay the cost to bore fiber directly from the high school up to their water
Has to come
tower.
down to a
So it's gonna pass through here.
And
The
then-
question is, does it have to pass through here and go through some sort of electronic device?
That's
Or can it just pass through here on a a little, simple little jumper cable that's moving it from one fiber patch tray to
Or a little
another.
relay or something.
That's what's happening now is there's a relay like that in there. There's a master and then there's slaves, and what would happen is they need to put in another slave for us to go set.
So we need a charter technician to come in here and evaluate the system and make it work properly according to our two.
Yeah, so
And it just
Gentlemen who are
needs, it
running
needs to
the
be
system.
oversaw, because, you know, it just needs to be somebody there all the time looking at this going, this, okay, now, this is all digital, that doesn't look right, is this really the way it needs to go? Cause you know, who knows if they're gonna try to, you know, shortcut something for that. I mean, that's shortcutted already.
So we need to make sure you just have the right exact language down. So from each of our facilities, we need what? Equipment, lines and equipment to run a
Modulator.
digital modulator, and what was it? Run a digital signal to
Digital
their,
signal all the way to their head end in St. Cloud.
to their head end. Digital signal from the school and from River Arts all the way to their head end in St. Cloud.
And frankly, they know that, I mean, the tech that's been out, when we've been able to get somebody out, he knows that that's what needs to happen. He agrees that that's what needs to happen. His hands are tied in being able to do that from somebody at a higher pay grade.
Does he need a work order on it to do that, or why wouldn't it just
the
affect the whole
franchise
system?
agreement saying that you're gonna do this.
He needs somebody with a higher pay grade than him to tell him that that's what needs to be.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell them to do it.
But how do we get that somebody?
That's
In
where
our
hopefully
contract.
this will do it.
We'll have to get it in the contract.
Didn't we have something in there that said updating and upgrading the system as needs in our last agreement?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that agreement is from what, 15 years ago or something?
And it's gone now as of last May.
Right. It's lapsed. So,
We beat that up enough.
yeah, so we need that. We want money for equipment. And last time, what did they do? It was 25,000 or something?
Yeah.
And then they collect the PEG fee, and that's, you know, at least some of that is supposed to go ongoing towards new equipment, and we can talk about that.
And timely upgrades as needed through the course of the contract.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Timely upgrades to all equipment and technology and software throughout the equipment. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the original agreement, had $25,000 grant for video equipment. And then there was a PEG fee of 50 cents per subscriber per month.
And that went into a equipment fund, which the city has. Last, when you talked to them, they were doing the financial stuff, there was upwards of $70,000 to $75,000 the city has sitting there for equipment upgrade.
You were gonna say something to the effect that, say you got the money, the PEG fee was that money to keep the system upgraded and updated.
But I think the question has been, if you can't send out the signal via an analog, signal, why upgrade the equipment? You know, if the bottleneck is here because it's going out in analog, why it will spend money to upgrade equipment when you can't actually upgrade analog equipment anymore because it's obsolete?
So one of the things that's mentioned in this memo is that our PEG fee is 50 cents per month per subscriber. But in some cities, including Albert Lee, it's up to $1.25 per subscriber. This charter will demand that any PEG fee be used to support PEG equipment and possibly operations. So I mean, maybe we should encourage them to increase the PEG fee so that there will be more cash flow for keeping the equipment up.
But we'll have to define that on how that's gonna be spent, so it doesn't go into the general revenue fund and end up paying for a park bench somewhere.
Well, that's true. This says the charter would demand that in the agreement from the city. I mean, but we can, right now, we're just making up our Christmas wish list.
Yeah, well, I mean, the PEG fees, and if you go up, I mean, the one thing to keep in mind is, Charter doesn't spend a dime for any of this. Everything they'd agree to, they're getting back out of their subscribers.
For sure.
And they're legally allowed to charge the peg fees right back to the customer, so.
Oh, that's what they will do.
They will do.
Right.
It's
Right on your bill.
immediately, yeah.
Yes.
We'll see that. I'll see that.
Mhm.
50 cents a month. Right.
I'll see that now, but if you go to $1.50, I'll see that too.
Well,
Revenue coming in from cable TV franchise goes into the dedicated enterprise fund for cable TV. So it doesn't come in at all to general. So unless, I'm not experienced to it, it would have to be a transfer out from them back into general.
No, there's two funds that come in now, right? We've got to pay
Two revenue
we've
streams.
got revenue sharing.
Get the 5% franchise fee.
Now, does each one go to a different account? The revenue sharing?
Well, they're different funds of that same department. So there's, I keep operating and capital.
There's accountability,
equipment.
that's all accounts.
So they're kept separate.
I've got another item that, as long as we've got this pretty well. Another item about these boxes. When Charter, first of all, changed to digital, they provided a black box to all the households for a year. And then after that, they started charging a $7 fee for the black box. And if you had 2 or 3 TVs, you paid extra for the other boxes anyway. So would it be something that we might want to put in here, that the main black box be provided free to each customer? And then after that, if they have more than one TV, they pay for the boxes?
Then again, that's just going to be if you give one person that free box, then Charter's going to spread that cost to the other people who are paying for the boxes. I mean, they're not going to lose anything.
Well, everybody
That's
will
just
get
what
it. Everybody that has Charter,
they said. But again, they're not going to lose total revenue.
Right, what I think they'll do is just say, okay, you don't have to pay the $7, but guess what, your monthly fee just went up by $7.
Yeah, so Jay, you're not coming out
I
ahead of
think
this.
they'll find a way.
That little old lady she's still going to get beat up somewhere down the line.
Well, speaking of boxes, I have a much simpler one, and they should have a drop-off spot somewhere in Little Falls. I just canceled my phone service through them, and the choices were wait to have them mail out a shipping box or drive it all the way to Wake Park. So I think for convenience of residents is if they need to turn in a modem or a box, we should have a designated drop-off point in Little Falls where one of their trucks comes and picks it up.
we used to have that at Coburn's.
Yep.
At the Coburn's courtesy desk there or whatever.
And I think
There used to be a drop box for Charter.
I think rather than having them get involved, I think City Hall during business hours would probably be an appropriate drop-off spot.
Something that's monitored.
And every once in a while, they stop and pick up their
Their truck
equipment.
goes by and hauls the box.
Was there ever in the old contract an exclusive, the city was exclusive to Charter, when we got CTC nipping out their heels a little bit, but
I
is
don't
that
think
something,
there was an exclusivity agreement.
there was no competition then?
I think in, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there a line in one of their proposals from Charter that Bob sent over that there would be an exclusive?
Oh, we can't have that.
No, I don't think you can. But they put in a line about anything that any other franchise would provide would have to be equal to what Charter is doing, so there couldn't be any.
Well, I think the old franchise fee that addresses that. It says Charter, or no, this is what Bob Volz is saying, that it's in Charter franchise fees, that Charter will request a new provision stating that the city may not allow any other company to provide cable service unless such company is subject to an identical franchise. This provision is more restrictive than applicable state cable laws. It says the city has previously received some interest from potential competitor. So,
I don't think that that's something that we'd have to agree to, but that's a city decision.
you know, this is just what Bob Vos was saying when he sent this,
You're right.
Is that in the same memo?
yeah,
What
it's
group?
cable.
Charter just saying they want a level playing field, I guess, so.
Well, they're trying to make sure that
Some of the franchise terms.
it's as difficult as possible for somebody else to come in.
Well, I don't think that's unfair to them. If somebody else wants to come in and they have to put up the same size bond, carry the same insurance, and.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that.
I mean, if CTC is really gonna come in, I don't think they should get a big bonus over Charter where they don't have to collect these same sorts of fees or, I mean, they should come in on equal terms and then, well, the nice thing for people in the city is that then they can decide which one they want on essentially equal terms. But, you know, that's once CTC ever gets all their cable in place. And I know Brainerd has both CTC and Charter. I mean, there are plenty of cities that have more than one franchise. And for all of us, we certainly want any new company to come in to have the same sort of franchising. Exactly. We don't want CTC to take half the customers and then have no peg fees and, you know, no fees that go to support what we're trying to do. So,
And here's another thing in number G, the enforcement. The current franchise requires Charter to maintain a $50,000 performance bond and $7,000 security fund. This franchise allows imposition of liquidated damages for violations in addition to franchise termination or revocation. Charter will probably try to reduce or eliminate these amounts in the new agreement. This is Bob Vos's.
yeah.
What's 50 grand?
Well, if it's in a performance bond, they're paying
The premium on it,
premium on
but
it. If they were ever, you know, in violation of something, it would kick in,
But it seems to me that they would be in violation. They would be in violation of the old franchise agreement when they upgraded equipment to all digital, that they didn't do it totally. For us, too, I mean, for the local people.
but I think it's water under the dam now with the fact that it expired.
And they violated the number change too.
Yeah. They fought that in St. Cloud won.
Oh, big time. That was the day I read about it. And St. Cloud just about told Charter to take a hike.
I thought they would pull them out of town. That would be glad for sure.
Do we want to just run through, we've gone through some of the franchise terms that's in that, we could kind of just run through a few of the others. We've already kind of done the franchise fee and the PEG programming. Under system and services, so C on that, Charter claims to have upgraded to a 750 megahertz system, meeting standards established in Exhibit A to the franchise agreement. City may wish to perform a technical audit if there are technical or service quality concerns. Kind of goes back a little bit to what you were talking about before. You know, I don't know, do we want some sort of an audit of what their system, whether their system is up to date by 2015 standards and have them agree that they will keep it up to date? Or do we have it kind of covered? You guys probably already know what.
It's not up to date considering everything that you see back there.
I would think that
A lot
would-
of hardware stuff.
Yeah, it could be a wise thing to do. I guess my question is there a technical audit going to be auditing what the two of us can do, or is it really just going to be auditing what the signal quality is of the equipment that's sending stuff to the home?
Well, the three parties, you and them, and how you collectively can put the system together properly. That would seem to me to be the audit.
Yeah, I think
Let's Let's make it
probably
work.
looking at it from a little different perspective. They're looking at it as, what is the broadcast quality going to the home, and are we truly providing HD signal?
I think their main concern is really their output to the community and the homeowner. And really, you guys are really secondary, our broadcast system that we have here.
I think we want to keep the language that we talked about before,
Yep.
with the specific things that we
Yep.
want.
Yeah,
But just a question of whether, this was the question of whether the city would want to perform a technical audit and make sure that their system is working the way it's supposed to.
for the homeowner.
I don't know what, it doesn't specify.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, technically it's working the way it's supposed to, but it's not working up to our standards.
So I don't know if we want to include that.
Can we put more wording to it?
Sure. I mean, this is just Bob throwing out these things that came up in the last agreement. Here are things you might want to talk about.
Because as long as we can get that worded so it's not so vague. And
Well, to include homeowner and the public access channels that are available. You know, let's make sure that's in there so that they'll audit the performance of YouTube into their system.
So that's C.
We gotta include public access TV if we're gonna get this thing off the ground.
Now, franchise term can be for 15 years. That's fine.
So Steve,
Yeah, that's the most it can be. So that seems fine. E is institutional network. Current franchise requires Charter to provide two-way connections to City Hall and several other institutional sites for video programming. Charter is also required to provide cable modem to area schools. The city could seek to broaden these requirements to establish an institutional network for data transmissions between area institutions. Charter will likely pose such obligation, but it can be negotiated. The city would need to demonstrate how such capacity will be used. The city may wish to simply maintain current commitments. So right now, they've got a line to City Hall, to the school, to Government Center, to the county board meetings. I don't know where else we would,
They go into every school.
okay.
Like
every
it's
They
every-
go
school.
all four school buildings. They go to the hospital. They go to the Charles Lindbergh Museum. I don't think it goes to the house, I think it goes to the museum.
Yeah.
So was that all charter, or was that a conglomeration of SciTech, and did they sell theirs to
No.
charter?
No,
And
I
the club
believe
was
that
out.
was all charter, and that was done so that programming could be recorded, developed, and distributed from any one of those locations.
But again, it wasn't that interactive system that we put in through the schools. One time the schools owned a bunch of that, didn't they? Mid-state?
I think that there was some other lines that could be done that way, and there was the ability to patch across the fibers to make that happen,
But they'd be using charter, okay.
So under E, should we just go along with maintain current commitments? That they'll continue to provide access to those buildings?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about that is that for City Hall and for the Government Center and for the schools, is that when they provide that cable modem, that is a secondary internet service provider that's being provided for free.
Can be a redundant service so that if
Yeah.
one of your main provider goes down at one day, you have
You could
backup.
switch
So,
to that. Yep.
yeah, that's very important in local government, schools, county governments for sure. The state actually mandates that police departments, law enforcement have redundant services available so that there limits the possibility that they could be out of service.
So the one piece to that is that, I don't know about at City Hall, our cable modems have not been updated by them since 2009. So the capacity that they are providing to us is only a 5 meg connection,
Oh,
which is not, I mean, for a school district, that's fine if we absolutely have to go out on the back end of that. But it would be wise for us to ask for updated equipment, because I believe they're advertising right now that their fastest connections in town is 20
it's
megabytes.
60.
Is it up to 60 now for the business side?
Yeah.
And that's what these are supposed to be, is business class modems. So if that's the case,
Yeah.
you know, that could be a significant, that's no cost to them.
Yeah,
Upgrading their internet connections, yeah.
they just gotta replace the modem.
That's all they have to do is replace
Is
it.
there, you set a standard on the download and upload speed or expectation? Or would they have a need for high bandwidth uploading?
Well, all of our connections except for the charters are asynchronous, so they're the same up and down. I don't know, I mean, I turn to that charter
Symmetrical.
connection and only in a pinch, so, you know, it would be nice to have it be the same up and down.
I think it should be the same up and down for all those, because we're all doing recordings there anyways, and video takes up the most bandwidth
Yeah.
for anything like that, so if we,
You're sending out signals over those modems.
yep, and now with just, I mean, if that's provided, then we could actually increase programming, because they put it on internet, YouTube, you know, stuff like that. And if it's easy for them and it's fast and quick and stuff like that, that's just something that,
The capabilities on upload are on the business class side. Download, they can get some pretty high speed downloads, but I haven't seen anything advertised over 10 and
Yeah, I
uploads.
don't know what their advertised upload speed is.
So that's, so maintain current,
It would,
then
I
update the
think,
equipment
yeah,
as well.
I think your request, from what I was hearing, is upgrade existing equipment to provide a symmetrical upload and download speeds, and then maintaining it throughout the future.
And maintain all those facilities.
Because if you're just asking to maintain the existing, you're gonna be stuck with 20-year-old technology in 5 years.
We don't want that.
I think we're still.
And upgrade to current standards as you go along.
You can set what the minimum upload download speed is.
Actually, that would be great for anything that you guys are doing anyways with that, because you're doing, you shoot your stuff on the internet.
Yeah, we send it out to different, 2 other pipes for that.
F is free cable service. Current franchise requires the provision of free connections and certain cable service to City Hall and several other listed institutional sites. City should evaluate whether any additions are desired.
We are not included.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't we have a massive charter bill every month?
Yeah, we're not included on that.
Is the school included on that?
School and
School.
city and, police station, I believe, are the ones that are included.
Okay.
Oh,
It's called a host site, a host site or something. Argue with that.
what is the charter bill for here?
I have not seen the trade bill.
Joe's-
I know
Joe's
it's
on
been-
si- I think it's fairly high. I'm not sure exactly.
Since
I don't think
Channel
it's that,
180 is coming out of here, can we try to get them to
Yeah,
throw this in?
Free service.
Well, it's kind of odd that, you know, in order to check our signal, we're paying to check our signal. It's
Yeah.
kind of-
we need to include this building.
I don't know why it was never thought of even in
Even if
GA.
they want to separate it to be,
Oh,
for the back of the building as opposed to the front.
yeah.
We do, it is, we are paying for two boxes in there. So, because I was monitoring channel 181 and channel.
I think we can ask for it.
Yeah.
Bob will tell us it isn't gonna happen.
Right.
He's gonna tell us.
It's just our Christmas wish.
It doesn't cost them anything.
Well, I would guess.
It should be something that is for us, especially when we're hosting the channel.
Wasn't Jerry originally in one of the school buildings way back when?
Way back
So
when he
15.
ran this place, he ran it as an independent contractor.
But when they did the franchise agreement 15 years ago, was he still at the school then?
He
That's
was
probably why they just ran it to the school. This place,
backing up, so
Yeah.
back then. If you have an office there, and then you have an office up here.
Only had the office in the high
So
school.
that's probably why it was just in this hole.
Yep.
Well, let's ask for that. Any other facilities that we would try to get them to provide free cable for?
Currently, they provide one free cable box to each school. And, so we can put one TV on. So we're pulling TVs out of the buildings because what's the point?
So you would need a box for every single TV, I suppose?
What, just like you would at
Just
home?
like anybody.
Yeah, and we're not gonna pay for a box for every TV, right?
What, can we get you a box for TV instead? I mean, I guess would be good to have access.
Well,
Does there exist some sort of
You can broadcast.
transmitter or router that does TV where one box, I mean, you're talking a building like a school, can they separate that signal and actually make it tunable at a TV?
It's gonna
You
be.
can send your own signal to each
as
classroom.
long as you have a digital TV in every room,
Yeah.
yes, that's possible. What we've talked about is instead just bringing it in on one and then having a piece of head-end equipment that will allow us to broadcast that out.
Just daisy chain it all the way through.
No, well, we can do that right now, but, allow us to broadcast, so like, say we want to have CNN as an option, we'd broadcast that as a web address on our internal network, not publicly, but our internal network, that would say, if you go to this address, 10.105.12.62, that's CNN.
Our
And then
own,
you can watch it on your computer, it goes through the projector. But from the school perspective,
are your TVs are digital, or you still got a bunch of landlines?
no, that's all of
That's high tech right there.
How long?
Oh,
How
boy.
many school buildings are we talking about? 4, did you say?
well, 5 was the continuing education center.
So can we, I don't know, we could ask for 5 boxes per building.
Oh, we tried that when
Oh.
we did the conversion.
Got you nowhere? Yeah. Well, let's ask for the free cable.
Mr.
Of course, but this is this provision about the provision, where we kind of address that. And rights of way, current franchise contains requirements concerning construction and maintenance of the system in rights of way. After the franchise was issued, the city enacted a comprehensive right-of-way ordinance, including local permitting requirements. Franchise makes charter subject to any right-of-way ordinance. The city may want to remove right-of-way related requirements from the next franchise. Don't know what that's all about. Anybody have anything they want to say about that, or we just leave that one to the city and let them deal with it?
Good luck, John.
Mr. President, ma'am, just make a suggestion going back to your educational buildings. It is part of the mission statement of the senior center. The senior center does receive funds from both government entities here in town, and they should be included in this educational platform and public access for the benefit of the seniors as well.
We could ask the senior center to be included. Seems reasonable.
Actually, they are running the money to one. I mean, look at use that. I'm constantly putting up stuff for them, so they use it quite a bit.
Service area, franchise authorizes service throughout the city and requires service to be available wherever there are at least 30 homes per mile of new cable. The city may evaluate whether charter is complying and whether there are any areas where residents cannot receive service. Charter can be required to provide as-built maps to evaluate this. I think that's not anything that we have to worry about. The city probably wants to look at that. If there are any parts of the city that don't have charter, I think everybody's got charter, where they would have 30 per mile.
30 minutes per mile.
Yeah.
Some of the new additions, I suppose, if they didn't have it, but I think everything's pretty well wired in.
Yeah.
Is that why the signal only goes so far into Little Falls? I know that some charter people can't get charter if they're so far out of town, or so
Yeah.
far out, even in the center I mean, people in Little Falls still aren't getting it. That's what I've heard.
That's the density requirement, we just found out, yeah. 30
So-
30 units per mile.
Yep.
That's a straight line or a circular
Yeah,
mile,
that's,
I'm not quite sure, or a square
Yeah,
mile.
30 homes per mile could be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
What it says in the agreement, if it's, per radius or
Well, it's 30
linear.
30 homes per mile of new cable, so it must be linear down the cable.
Okay.
But I don't know where in town they wouldn't have service. I mean, I live out of
It's
town.
it's not that they don't have charter service, it's they don't have the channel 180.
Whoa,
That was two concerns that I had
how could that be?
been brought up to me.
If they've got charter.
If they've got
Yeah.
charter, they've got 180.
Okay, so maybe it's just, maybe it's still a channel 6 and channel 180 thing that was brought up to me.
Quite possibly, they're looking at channel 6 and it's
Okay.
not there anymore. But if
Yeah.
they went to 180, it'd be there.
Okay, because I've asked,
It
I've
comes
asked
with the service.
people
It's-
around town if they have it. It's hit or miss
And
sometimes.
then with a converter box, they should be able to pull channel 180
Yep.
regardless.
Yeah,
But if they were still on their own TV, their TVs might not be programmed for channel 180 either. So
Your next question needs to be look at your bill, are you paying?
Yep,
for pay
exactly.
fee and not getting it? If
Well, I
somebody's
think-
really not getting it.
I think they're required to pay fees anyways. If they have charter service, you pay a pay fee.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, 180 is just with the basic charter package.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
everybody gets
So
that.
tier one.
Yep.
If they have charter, they probably just need to look
yeah.
and figure out where it is.
Can you get 180 if you're 5 miles out of town in an area serviced by cable?
If you're on charter, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm out of
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
not 5 miles, but I'm out of town, I have charter and I get 180.
Yeah.
This is just making sure, we can't go into everybody's home.
You have
You should.
otherwise franchise.
Just not gonna.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Put your Halloween costume on.
Yeah,
Trick or treat.
trick or treat, I'm just here to check a channel.
Oh, that's my wife.
Check if you want it.
It was just something that was brought up to me, and I just wanted to make sure that because it seemed goofy that it was only going 2 miles out, or so far from the epicenter and still on charter. But I'm glad that.
Next is customer service, J. Franchise incorporates the FCC's cable customer service standards, which can be difficult to understand and enforce, but also permits the city to enact additional requirements, i.e., the city may impose requirements to address specific customer service concerns. Anybody? And then K is the favored nations provision, which is the part that says that if CTC comes to town, they have to pay the same sorts of fees and things, which I think we're all pretty much in favor of. Any other entity coming in, having to pay their fees. So that was the end of
Unless
that.
is there something
It comes to
with
density.
the bond in there? The only thing I'd be here is some of the language is collaboration. So if they put something in there that only they can meet, that's all the rest of the challenger can't. I mean, I wouldn't think so.
Where do we go from here though? What are the words on paper?
Do we meet the top most in it?
I think we just need you to communicate to us our directives, what we're hoping to get. The last email I had from them was that they were kind of waiting on us to come up with a list. And then those try to get them going on negotiations. But so far, it sounds like Charter sent out the one initial proposal that was filed and had and they haven't responded to them. Those
No, but Bob, like we talked about on the phone, he wanted people from this where he was kind of waiting, and he said it's incumbent upon charter, so he wasn't, so he
hurry them up, because if somebody else is knocking on their door, there's some competitor came in.
See, this franchise fee set for Charter was 2013. October 2013.
So it behooves them to stay on continuing contract.
They're still playing by the existing.
Right, nothing changes. We're under continuing contract until we come up with a new one.
Right, and I don't think it's gonna come down to it. The leverage we have is they're operating right now without a franchise agreement. So if they wanna try to get too particular about our list of demands, then they can be reminded that they're not operating under a franchise agreement.
So we should get a new contract going, obviously.
Well, that's what.
Yeah, I got an email from him back in September 17th, said he hasn't been negotiating with Charter, given that I'm not sure what to ask for. In the meantime, I've been pushing Charter to give us a better proposal than the draft franchise they provided several months ago. It's a non-starter. I'll look forward to whatever feedback you can provide after October 21st. So,
Well,
a list of feedback.
here it is.
So this is what I've noted. So requesting a digital modulator for the signal distribution.
Everything's everything digital up to,
Everything digital.
up from the point that, of what we put into the telco system to what goes through their modulator that they have here, that goes through their cable that's sent to the head end, and then
They just want.
and then they can save on their conversion at the end, because we'll over be saving.
When we're done, can you just show me where
Yep.
stuff goes? I mean, I'm not a nail, but this is all.
It's a little bit messy. I took out a cabinet that broke.
And then having access to a charter technician for the installation and maintenance of their equipment.
And just for customer support.
Point of contact.
Yeah.
Firm point of contact.
That's kind of the other J customer support.
You don't want to call that 800 number.
No.
That's one for
Local customer support.
I don't want to talk to anybody in Ohio or
Alright.
Denver.
You never know where you're gonna get.
And then the funding for equipment continue through PEG fees, to continue upgrading equipment as technology improves. Timely upgrading to current technologies and software of their equipment.
Did we talk about increasing the back fee?
We want to recommend.
Talked about it, but-
We want to get there.
Well, why don't we recommend, Bob mentioned $1.25, we could say $1 or $1.25.
Well, Bob mentioned that that's what they do in the
Hourly, yeah.
I mean, again, whatever you increase it on the franchise agreement, they're gonna increase on the customer, so.
And
Right.
we've got to have a
But I don't-
dedicated use for
That'd be
this
50
money.
cents.
You gotta
We just
use,
want
you
to
know,
pile it up in
Yeah.
a big pile and say, gee, we got $400,000.
Right.
Aren't we lucky? What are we gonna do with it?
Right now it's 50 cents, maybe we should boost it up to $1.
But we have $77,000 in that big fee account.
Well, I think, once we get some of this new stuff in place, we can probably start buying some more.
Yeah.
We should go,
They're-
come back
they're-
to,
Yeah, I think, I would anticipate that when you have the ability to send out digital signals, you're gonna have an increased need to be upgraded.
Okay.
well, I know our computer is already shot, I think it runs on Windows XP. The computer, and it's not just I mean, it's the thing that runs our whole station, runs our videos. Isn't that kind of the deal?
Well, Chris brought that up
Yeah,
in a prior meeting.
right.
Yeah, I've been bringing it up since.
So at some point, we're gonna probably have to ask to tap into some of that money that is sitting in the bank.
Should have already done.
And,
Put in your request to the
Yep,
city.
and I didn't know where this money was and anything, so that's why otherwise it would have been requests been brought up. I've been sitting with the city council talking about what we need, so. You know, still a little bit more just to the game moving into this.
Okay.
Okay, then we talked about technical audit, and this one I didn't have a lot of specifics on. You know, who sets the what standards are you asking for, and then who performs the audit?
I would ask Bob for direction. He had it in his memo, so maybe just tell him, yeah, that sounds good, how do you do it? I would guess that he's negotiated that into other contracts and probably had specific terms.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of this?
Yep, I do.
Because then you can just kind of go down and
Yep,
pick up questions.
and that's what I'll do when I send an email to Bob with what the requests were from today. And then a drop-off location for returning equipment in Little Falls, somewhere designated in the city of Little Falls. An institutional network, that it's currently in all schools, City Hall, Morrison County, Lindbergh Museum, that it's upgraded to the existing standards and maintained throughout the agreement. And then I don't know if you wanted to set a symmetrical upload download, set a speed requirement to that.
I think you should maybe say something to the effect that the equipment and the speeds will be adjusted every 5. If you're gonna go with a 15-year agreement, say every 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we wanted to add the senior center.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then next, that's the free cable service.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, yeah.
We might want to look at doing like we did on the last charter agreement. Is that go for 4 years, then have a review, and then grant an 11-year extension?
Yeah.
I still think you gotta be careful. You wanna be careful because you could do like you do now and like just drop off the cable modem and say, yeah, well, that's yours for the next 15 years. If you have some provision in there where every 5 years or something,
You have to reevaluate or update or whatever.
they have to, the equipment has to be replaced. Or whatever.
Well, that's what the old one did. The old one, and he's got it in here too, that the current franchise was granted in 2000 for a term of 4 years with an 11-year extension if Charter upgraded the system.
So you wouldn't wanna do an 11-year
No.
extension, then you wanna do a 5-year.
Yeah.
With the ability to add on another
5, 5,
5
and
years.
5, yeah.
So-
If they do that.
So the franchise then expired in 2015 because they did do the upgrade, and that was at the end of the 11 years. They did the upgrade,
By year 4,
Yeah.
which kicked in the provision that they could extend the franchise for 11 more years. But then after 11 years, there was nothing to encourage them to upgrade equipment.
Right.
So,
Which is why.
so
you're
setting
saying-
provisionary standards that, well, after 5 years, you're going to upgrade the equipment to modern standards. After the next 5 years, you're going to upgrade equipment to modern standards.
only time they upgrade their equipment. It's usually,
Initially 5 years and 5 years.
yeah, that would probably be it.
I think there's a built-in opportunity to address some of that. One here being a resolution from 2014 when they change names or split off. The likelihood is within the next period, they're gonna go through some sort of consolidation, sell-off, which basically opens the contract back up for interpretation again.
Well, I think the owner would just take over their obligations. Whoever owns Charter then would have the obligations of the existing franchise.
With technology, we're gonna put a drone heliport up on the flat part. Land your drone and we'll download your information and then just take off again.
Okay.
If we learn 5 miles, then go ahead.
Alright, back on to the next free cable service, including the existing and then the PEG host site as well as the senior center to add those. Okay, that was not one correction. And then we'll look at it. I'll talk to the engineer about the right-of-way requirements if there's any concerns on removing that from the franchise agreement.
John, on that last one, I would just need to say big host sites.
PEG host sites.
Yeah, because you got 2 sites and that way
Okay.
it's clear to them.
Sure. Service area, maintaining the existing standards that are in place and ask for evidence to prove that they've been meeting the criteria criteria from the previous franchise agreement. And the customer service representative, which is, would ask for the other parts, and then review what they're requesting in terms of the favored nation, so that it isn't too, that it isn't setting some standard that their charter's only putting this piece of proprietary something in there, so that they don't ever do a franchise agreement. But reviewing that, so anything else?
Now, once this kind of all gets said and done and kind of gets written out, can we either meet with him or Skype with him? I'll put him up on the screen, but so we can go through and all be on the same page with this new one.
If you're gonna meet as a full board, you would
Yep.
need to meet in a public forum setting, so Skype doesn't qualify for that, but if you were going to have a advisory committee for the renewal, then you can meet by a
That's what I would suggest, having one or two members from the cable board, so it's not wouldn't
So you
and
can
then
work on the
city administrator.
negotiations in a timely manner, that you're not having to set public hearings all the time.
It would just be nice for all of us to be able to sit through this and go through this and know that what is this right of way thing, so we're not sitting here kind of all baffled. We're all on the same page, so that if something like what happened in the last franchise agreement were to go down, then we'd all be right there knowing what to do. We'd all have read through it and everything like
That's
that.
what we had last time, was just a committee.
Okay.
That, so that it wouldn't be any, it would just be a franchise agreement committee, and of course, that would have to then be proposed to the city council, and then they'd have to review it and take it and recommend, put that in there.
Yeah, anything that you would do, I think, then would eventually move to the city council anyway, so.
Mr. President, I have one other thing. Amongst the schools, did CLC get mentioned? Because they certainly could benefit from having this public access available to them as well, for the kids that aren't enrolled in.
We talked about that.
CLC or CEC?
Oh, is that,
You mean we're out at the old community?
What was that, St. Francis?
the ones who aren't formally enrolled in the high school, is that,
Yeah.
CEC.
That's
and,
it.
and that is a part of it? Oh, perfect.
Continuing ed center.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Alright,
Okay,
so you'll send.
I'll communicate this to Bob and then get back to the board with what he has, and hopefully we can finally get some sort of communication back and forth with Charter about establishing an agreement, because right now I think it was just they sent us something, we haven't sent a formal response back to what it was, or haven't fully communicated what our demands were. And I think
Well,
this is a great
Bob wrote
great
to
start.
Charter and said that they should resubmit a different,
At least our end.
Well, there was nothing ambiguous about it. You said you're not even close, try again.
And nothing from Charter came back from that.
That's
So, and he's been pushing, he has been communicating with them to get a response, and they've still, as of October 13th was the last email that I saw
yeah,
that Bob had.
that's what I have.
Okay.
I know that's happening. So these are the requests, and then we'll get that to Bob, or
Sounds like a good time to finish up.
Anybody else have anything?
You've
got it here at this time?
Negotiate
Nope.
a lower
Then I'll just,
total package.
all this meeting adjourned.
All right. So put it on your bill, so you notice it.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.